I've got you all, it's running.
Oh, okay. Oh, you recorded already?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
How many people are here for the second round?
There's going to be, the whole group total is 175, I
Okay,
think. So,
pretty good. Yeah, pretty good. Very cool. I remember this.
Yeah.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Oh, it feels like a long time ago.
Yeah,
It's
you're
4
coming,
years
like,
really.
full circle here.
Yeah.
Well, they all just came in at the exact same time.
I mean, could I stand here too? I guess this is like standing here is fine, right?
Yeah, it's totally up to you.
I can like see the screen well. So that's,
Yeah. All right, I think everything's good. Welcome, everyone. Nice to see all of you today. Very nice. We'll go ahead and get started because I know you have a full array of presentations that you will listen to this afternoon. To begin with, my name is Laura Malash. I am the Assistant Dean in Student Affairs. I've been in this position for 10 years now. So I'm really happy to see you guys at our Second Look event this afternoon, and so excited for you to learn more about UC, and absolutely invite any and all of your questions that you might have for me or for us during our presentation on career development and the match. So very exciting topics. Let's see. Before I move on to my co-presenter, I'm trying to think of what else I want to share with you about myself. I am a psychologist by training, actually, so it was a little bit of a surprise to me to land in medical education, and yet here I am, and I love it, and it turns out that I actually get to use a lot of my psychologist skills and training in the work that I do with medical students a lot of the time. I will now hand it over and let my co-presenter introduce himself as well.
Hey, I'm Jimmy Castiglione. I'm a fourth year med student. I'm going into neurosurgery. I matched at Thomas Jefferson, Philadelphia. Happy to answer any questions. But I guess a little bit more about me. I grew up in Pittsburgh. I went to Pitt for undergrad. And then I actually worked as like a software engineer for a couple years before coming to medical school. And then I came here and got involved in research and everything. Figured out I wanted to do like neurosurgery and matched successfully. So here I am.
Yes.
I'm my number one choice, so it was exciting.
Yeah, awesome. Congratulations. All right, so let's dive right in. Okay, so our career program, first of all, begins essentially with day one. So we start you off very early. Even during the orientation week is when you get an introduction to our career development program. So we give you a nice overview and kind of similar to what you might hear today as well, just kind of showing what happens at each year and different things that you can learn along the way. So that will begin, and I think I'll actually get into a little bit more of the details of orientation, but with a lot of self-assessment. Okay, so keep that in mind, and we'll circle back to that. But as you're progressing through the 4 years and participating in this career development program, you'll see it shows up in a variety of ways, a variety of times, a variety of formats. So one of those ways is to actually integrate into your curriculum. So that means in some of your courses, primarily the Physician and Society course and the Learning Communities course, you actually have dedicated sessions during those courses that focus on your career development. Other times, the career development presentations or information might be extracurricular, which means perhaps it could be a lunchtime event, or it could be an after-school event, or something that you can log into online, or videos that you can watch. So there's a lot of different ways we try to get the information out to you in a manner that's accessible and easy. And not to brag, but we were the winner of the 2017 AAMC Excellence in Career Advising Award. So we use that same model in place today, and I think you will find that it is a good one. Okay, so we actually follow the AAMC Careers in Medicine 4-phase model, and you can see what that looks like here on the slides. Essentially, you'll start at the bottom of the pyramid and begin with the understanding yourself phase. So that will mean, and I mentioned those self-assessments, that's a big part of the understanding yourself phase. The Careers in Medicine is a website that you will have access to, and even as of right now, you will have access to portions of that website, and then you'll gain more as you get a login as a medical student. But you'll learn more about like it'll ask you things like what are your specific interests in medicine, what kinds of tasks are you most interested in? Do you like procedures? Do you like counseling? Do you like continuity of care? So it'll have you prompt you to think about these different elements of practicing medicine and which of those things are most attractive to you. And then as you're learning about that, you can start to see, well, how does that fit in? How do those interests, how do those skill sets fit into different types of specialties or practice of medicine? So we're running to just introduce you to these resources, to different people that helps you to begin that exploratory phase of understanding yourself. And then we kind of go into this next phase where you're going to then explore, well, what are those options like? Now that I know a little bit about me and what I'm interested in, what I might be good at, what I might want to do with myself, like where can I find that out there in the world of medicine and different types of practice? So that's where a lot of the presentations and materials that you'll receive from our program will help you to kind of start to learn what's out there, what are my options. We have different speakers that will come and tell you about what they do, different panels, just different information to help you to do that. And now there's a lot of things like podcasts and different videos and online resources that also help to kind of just open up this world to you and let you know really what all those options might look like. And then as the phase or the pyramid progresses, you'll come closer to the part of actually choosing your specialty, right? So for a lot of students, this really starts to like crystallize, and you'll start narrowing down and really make some concrete decisions within your third year of medical school or the clerkship year. Occasionally, people will come into medical school and have a very clear vision and very clear pathway and actually stick to that. Sometimes you have an idea coming into medical school and it changes entirely, like completely flips on its head, and you find yourself liking something you had never in a million years envisioned that you would like. So we see a whole variety of things on that spectrum. But it's at around that time when you're really getting involved in the clinical practice where you start to narrow down and choose your own career path. And then finally, at the end of our career development program, we're working with you on preparing your residency application and leading you to a successful match. I know I'll just keep going, so let me pause here and see if you have anything that comes to mind or anything you might want to share with regard to this this model or any of these phases.
Yeah, for sure. I think like when I started to kind of realize I wanted to do, so I came in knowing I wanted to do something with like high acuity. So like I was thinking actually like cardiac surgery when I came in, and then I kind of realized, maybe there's not as much like technology research or whatever in that. So I started to look at like radiology, like in particular like interventional radiology, and then like neurosurgery was like also something I thought about. And then in the third year is like really when you kind of like decide. So I don't know if you guys know, like probably not like the full process, but like in the spring of your third year, if you're doing specialties like ENT, ortho, neurosurgery, like a lot of people schedule away rotation. So you really need to know by like March. And I didn't totally decide until like March. So it really is something that can actually like progress as you go along. And then along the way, you have these sessions that like Dr. Malash is alluding to. And you also, like through your research and in between like your M1 and M2 year, it's typically when people do a lot of research, you kind of realize, oh, like maybe I thought I wanted to do pulmonology, but like I really don't like it. Maybe I want to do peds. So that's kind of how it goes. And it's, it's partly built into the curriculum, and then partly like just your experience as you go along in school.
I should say too, if you do have questions as we're talking, feel free to raise your hand or just kind of talk out, and we'll be sure to stop and address that. Otherwise, I will hold some time at the end as well to make sure we answer any questions. So I will go through year by year and give you a little bit more detail about what you can expect with regard to the career development program. So I had mentioned a minute ago that we actually kick things off with orientation week. And that's where you'll get this sort of overview of the whole program, and we begin taking a look at some of those assessments. So in particular, you'll be asked to complete the Medical Specialty Preference Inventory, or the MSPI. That is one of the Careers in Medicine assessment tools, and you'll be introduced to that during sort of the pre-orientation portal. Which you'll hear about or learn about when you need to. But that assessment is in there. And then when you arrive for this orientation session, we also administer a personality type assessment, similar to the Myers-Briggs type indicator. So that, again, is just part of that understanding yourself, learning more about your personality traits and different interests that you may have, and just kind of orienting you to the whole program. And then fairly early within the first year, during that Physician and Society course, you're going to have, I believe, 2 separate sessions where you'll learn more about different careers in medicine. So there's one career panel where I believe we have some surgical practitioners or doctors come in and talk with you about surgery careers and different subspecialties within surgery. And then we have a primary care panel where you'll hear from primary care doctors like internal medicine doctors or family medicine doctors or pediatrics to tell you a little bit about what they do and what their career is like, patient populations that they see, and just different things that might be interesting to you to learn, as well as a session called Navigating the Road to Residency. So here we're trying to just give you a sort of bird's eye view of everything that is to come as you progress through your 4 years as a medical student. So it gives you just sort of a preview of different things that you can expect, goals that you might want to set for yourself, information that you might want to gather. So we're just kind of like laying that all out for you. And making you aware of those things. And then within your learning communities, still in your M1 year, the learning communities, if you haven't heard much about those yet, I'm sure you will, but they're smaller size groups where people within your same cohort, your same class, are broken down into groups of approximately 12 people. So it's much smaller, obviously, than the full class, and you each have a faculty facilitator who oversees that group. So in one of those sessions, some of our career development people come out and guide you through the process of developing your curriculum vitae, or your CV. And that is sort of your medical school resume. It's different than your conventional business resume, where you oftentimes hear, like, keep it to a page, keep it concise. A CV is more elaborate. It's longer, and it really details all of those things that you may become involved with throughout your medical school career. And at the beginning, it's even going to have some of those significant or substantial experiences that you completed during your undergraduate years. So we'll help you pull that together, because that document becomes relevant and important fairly quickly when you go to apply for either research or service experiences that you will do during your M1 summer. So we'll help you pull that document together, teach you about what it looks like, and give you the guidelines for doing that. And then we start telling you, well, what are your opportunities for that summer? So that's another part of the career development program where we'll start to introduce you to what those things might include. So there's an entire week dedicated to that, and it happens in the fall. So toward the end, like around November, we'll start to introduce you to different programs, to different departments, people and places where you can do research in different areas of medicine, things that are both UC affiliated, children's affiliated, and there's even opportunities external to UC that some of you might be interested in, as well as some really, really quality service opportunities. We have a great program called the Urban Health Project that is very well established and very well connected to our community agencies here in Cincinnati. So For those of you who are more interested in service or working with the community, making connections like that, helping people, those exist as well. And then we have a symposium that you can participate in where you get to present your research. So we want to give you those opportunities early, and that's a really great experience to make a poster, to present a poster, kind of get your feet wet if you haven't done that yet, to do that as a medical student.
All right. Yeah, I remember the doing the Myers-Briggs thing at the beginning of the year. That was kind of funny. I don't know. I ended up getting like one that said I was most like radiology, which I guess is like pretty accurate. But otherwise, I think like the medical specialty preference inventory. I think like most people don't come in like totally undifferentiated. Like I feel like most of you guys have like some idea of what you want to do. You're not like thinking like, oh, I want to do like psychiatry or neurosurgery. That's like typically not kind of compatible fields. And I think like my Myers-Briggs said I wasn't really going to be a psychiatrist, so that's that's how it is. Yeah, so there are career panels throughout. I remember the one that Dr. Malash is talking about. They had like one with a bunch of the surgical specialties. So we had like one of our main trauma surgeons come down, and like also like the cardiac surgeons are too busy, so they weren't there. And then like trauma, like breast, surg-onc, and like those specialties all showed up for that one. And then there's like plenty of IM doctors that'll show up to those as well. I just don't know it as well, I'm sorry. And then in terms of the learning communities, yeah, that's like a group of 12 people you work in. And you do like a CV workshop where, everyone does their CVs and then you get to look at your friends and, and that's kind of fun. And then, and like two of my best friends are from like the learning communities. So you do like meet like a lot of people and get really close with them in that. And then in terms of like the summer opportunities, yeah, so there's a bunch of like the interest groups. I'm sure like every medical school has this. Like there's like the neurosurgery interest group, like the internal medicine interest group, academic medicine interest group, and they like host lunch talks all throughout like August, September, and like October, where it's like, oh, intro to our specialty, and they'll get like someone big from the field, or like someone big from the field, like at our hospital, to come in and like kind of talk about what this field is like. So I know we got like our chair this year to come, or like the neurosurgery chair came in and talked at that meeting. And the neurosurgery interest group is the best one, I'll have to say. Everyone will want to do neurosurgery after you go to that meeting. No, not at all. And then the research and service poster symposium is pretty cool. I think typically you'll present at that like in your second year after you've done like the fall research, but it's really good in your first year to go and like just read the posters and figure out like, oh, that's like something interesting. Like maybe I'll try and like email that particular doctor, like if I can get in their lab or whatever. So I think that's good. And I think like you'll see that like the research that they do at Children's is like, it's like, what is it, third or fourth? What did they end up like on this year? Two? They're two this year. All right. Yeah, so that's good. Yeah, so they have like a ton of money and like a ton of interesting research going on over there. So definitely, I did like a pediatric like radiology research, like summer session. It was pretty awesome. They have like very good resources. So.
Okay, and then going into the M2 year, there is a course that you'll take called the Fundamentals of Doctoring. This was just recently updated with that new name, where formerly it had been referred to as the Longitudinal Primary Care Clerkship, or LPCC. The difference is, what that update in the title reflects, is that as a medical student, you'll be matched up with a doctor who you will go to their office and spend an afternoon at their practice and working with them and learning from them. I believe it's every other week once you get started with this course, and where previously they were all primary care doctors, now they include other types of doctors and other specialists. So that's kind of nice because it broadens from the career development field the opportunity, for those of you who might be interested to work with a specialist, you get that chance to do it. And that also includes some shadowing experiences where you can even branch off from the preceptor or the doctor who you've been working with and shadow with a different person as part of this course. So it's part of that exploring your options piece. And then within the learning communities, you're going to see career development again as a second year student. We're going to have something called the Specialty Open House. This is where you get to kind of go around. You get to choose like 2 or 3 different specialties you're interested to learn about. And then we have them stationed in different rooms around the building where you can kind of go in for 20 minutes or so, hear from people forth, and then go on to the next room and hear learn about that. So that's the specialty open house. And then we have recently implemented this session with residents where closer to the end of M2, as you're preparing for the third year, you get to get into some of the nitty gritty about like what to expect in year 3. Big changes between year 2 and year 3. So this is a chance for you to hear about that, the different specific clerkships to within which you'll rotate, which there are 7 core clerkships. So, you'll hear from residents and say, here's what it's going to be like. Here's your role. This is what you'll be doing. So a little bit of an orientation to the third year, as well as a big class meeting. So that's the Planning M3 meeting, and that's led by Student Affairs and Career Development. And we give you lots of information about how to plan for M3, which clerkships you'll take in which order, how that factors into your own individual career goals and whatnot. So that all occurs during the second year. And then, like Jamie said, during the first, second, even third and fourth years, things are happening in different ways where you can learn about different specialties through departmental specialty meetings. So every spring, just about every department, radiation oncology, diagnostic radiology, general surgery, all of them, they all hold meetings where their faculty, select faculty come together and say, hey, what do you want to know about this field? Here's kind of like the highlights. Here's some things that might be important for you to know if you're going to apply. So those are open. You can go to that every single year. All the different ones are totally open. Then, like you said, the student-led specialty interest groups are great ways to make connections, do networking, hear from different speakers, get involved, meet advisors in the community, and so forth, as well as things like our medical student scholars program. So, I don't know how many we have now, but I would say around 10 or 12 different departments have a scholars program. So you'll learn about those opportunities. You kind of get attached to that department early on, and then they kind of guide you through different opportunities that may exist, within that department for research, for meeting advisors, and so forth. So, trying to make sure I go fast enough here. Let me do this M3 and then we'll pause again. So in the M3 year, things change quite a bit on a number of levels. Obviously, you move more so into the clinical realm in terms of your educational experience. That's when you're rotating through the 7 core clerkships and some of the specialty electives. But things also change with the advising. So in M1 and M2, a lot of what we're doing is in small groups or big presentations. We have a number of career advisors in our student affairs office, myself being one. And then actually our director of the career development program is at a conference today. Normally you would have met her at this presentation. Her name is Dr. Mills. All of us are available and open, to meeting with students at any part of the 4 years. But when you're a third year student, you actually get assigned to someone specifically. So that would be the person who works with the specialty you are interested to apply. So if you're going to go into internal medicine, you get me. So remember that. And I'll look for all of you to be internal medicine. Now, you'll get to have, dedicated time where you sit with your advisor and you talk through what are your career interests and sort of helping you work toward that residency application in that field. The other part of the advising program is what we call the specialty advisor. So that person is from the department. If we stick with the example of internal medicine, you would have me as your career advisor, and then you would have Dr. Coberly, who is our internal medicine advisor from the department. So you get like that double-pronged approach, where a lot of what we're doing as student affairs is helping you just navigate the steps. It's a lot of practical advice, it's a lot of information. The specialty advisor is a doctor in that field, right? So you can talk to them about specifics like, this is what I want to do with my career. Where do you see me going best for that? Or what type of residency program might be the best fit for me? And they'll actually go through and help you select programs to apply. I'll let you comment here because this is probably...
Yeah, this is a good spot, I think. Yeah, I remember, so my individual career advisor was Dr. Bennett. And I think one of the things that like stressed me the most about it, or like stressed me the most out about applying for medical school and for like starting M3 year and everything was like, oh, do I get my, like, how do I get my schedule right? Like, how do I like actually physically like apply on like the ERAS website? Like, how do I apply on the way rotation website and like all of that? And they're like incredible for that. And they're also like very good for like just helping out with like, you know, like feel like the stress of the application season. And they'll be like, oh yeah, you're doing great, Jimmy. Like, yeah, like, yeah, very good. It is quite stressful, honestly. So I think that's incredible. And then like I had a like faculty advisor who I like kind of worked with like in research, like starting from like my second year. So me and him, we knew each other well. So we had always talked. And like one of the good things about a lot of I can speak like specifically to the neurosurgeons and like also like some of my friends did radiology, so I know like from their end as well. But they are like very honest with like your like application and like where they think you could end up, and they can tell you like, hey, like you need to get more like volunteering, like more research, etc. And they'll help you like the whole way and make sure that like you like their goal like at the end, even if you like leave, I'm leaving, is still to like have you achieve your goals and like match. And I think you'll see that from like all of the physicians here. So that's what I think I have to say about that. And then the second year thing on the last slide, I remember the big planning the class meeting. It's very helpful. They give you like a very nice timeline. I'm like not the most organized person in the world, so like having like a list of all the deadlines was like very helpful for me. So.
Very good. Okay, so also in the M3 year, there's another big class meeting. So we're always kind of planning ahead. So as a third year student, we're going to say, well, let's start planning for fourth year, right? And we're going to do that pretty early at the very start of the spring semester of your third year. So in January of M3, you've done about half of your clerkships. We're going to say, okay, great, now let's start talking about next year. Okay, so we're going to give you some match prep information. There's a whole afternoon where you're going to talk about the application process of the match. That's the Match 1 class meeting. And then we have more panels. So this one you get to hear from actually residency program directors, which is a great, it's great access to be able to hear from the residency program directors in the fields that you might be interested to go into. And then additionally, we have small group sessions with M4s. So at this point, our M4s, you're an M3, but our M4s come back, they're just about like done with the interview season. They're about ready to match in their field. You also want to go into that field. So you get to talk to them about, hey, what did you do with your fourth year? What was it like with your advisors? How did you figure out the programs you wanted to go to? How did you figure out your schedule? There's a million different questions you might have, and that fourth year student is literally just, right above you. So they are fresh to it and can give you a lot of good, helpful information. And then if you will be part of the couples match, which is a cute little thing you can do in medicine, which is to match with your significant other, then we have a meeting to help you kind of navigate that, because going into the match as a couple has its own sort of like unique aspects that you need to be aware of and you need to understand in order to match as a couple. So sometimes we have a good number of couples, and anyways, we help you with that process.
Yeah, so I remember doing like the small group. I was the only person interested in neurosurgery in my year. So I like got to lead that with like the 3 students below me who were like also interested, and I'm very glad I'm not applying with them. They're all really good. So it was strategic to not take like a research year this year actually. So I know like that was very helpful for them. They like I love like keeping in touch with them as well. So we like talk all the time. And then I think like I don't remember the panel with residency program directors, but we probably didn't have like the neurosurgery one, so I might not have gone to it. But like the IM program director, like Dr. Warm, he's a pretty nice guy. And then the one for like the pediatrics one, I think like I forget who it is. I don't know why. Pointer? Yeah, they're great. And then like Dr. Gio is also like one of the pediatricians, and she's great also. So.
Yeah. As far as M4 goes, it's still just continuation of those individual meetings. So you're going to continue with your student affairs, your career advisor, as well as your supervisor. We have another class meeting about to match where it's geared more towards like the interview portion, so kind of breaking it into chunks with you and giving it to you hopefully in like in real time. And then we're available to help you with your personal statement. That's an aspect you're probably pretty familiar with, like having just applied now. You'll do that again. You'll do a personal statement for your residency programs, and so we help you with that. We actually hire a tutoring group, not group, but like one or two English majors who come in and help people write their personal essays, and then we help prepare you for the interview itself. So we do mock interviews. We also have like online resources where you can practice interviewing with AI, like there's artificial intelligence that gives you like specific feedback about how many times you said or if your eyes were looking crossed or something. So you get like this feedback that's really helpful. So we prepare you for that. And then so then we do the
Match day, yeah.
So this is our class of 2022, Jimmy's class. We just had our match day celebration.
The 18th? March 18th? Yeah. Oh, I remember.
18th.
I don't remember the afternoon. I remember the morning. So.
We took our class photo and we have a ceremony. So this year was special. We haven't had an in-person ceremony because
Yeah.
we've been open for a while. So this class got to have their in-person ceremony. We do a really great celebration. It's a super exciting, happy day.
She might have been first, right?
She was the first
Yeah.
name called, so you kind of get your name drawn out of a hat almost to come up and do it. And so
You can open the envelope beforehand as
we
well.
did peds, and then we can see about half of our students match into these top 6 specialties. So internal medicine and peds are probably our biggest numbers. There are about equal. We have about as many go into each of those areas. Emergency medicine, family, anesthesia, radiology, I guess are our top 6 there. And then the other half of the class, just all over the place. We got our neurosurgeons, we got our vascular surgeons, we got our urologists, ophthalmologists, you name it, and it's like we'll have somebody potentially matching into that. So that's that. And then the top 5 states. So where are people going? Okay, well, we get a lot of them staying with us here in Ohio, which is always great, but we don't have everybody stick around, obviously. So we had people going to Texas, New York, California, Illinois, were the top 5 states. And again, we have a big class. They go pretty much all over the country. So you'll see, if you get a chance or if you haven't seen it already, there's a big map of our most recent 2022 class, and it has a little pin, in all the locations where people matched to. And you'll see there's pretty much a pin in almost every state. I mean, there might be like a handful where we don't have anyone, but it's also very dependent upon how many programs that state has and then what and so forth. So those are our match results, and that's my last slide. You guys are my first group, and my timing wasn't impeccable. So.
We're late. Oh, okay. Yeah. Oops. Sorry.
So, I think we're supposed to have until 1:40. It's 1:37.
Yeah.
What kind of questions can I answer? Also, I'm doing this like 4 times in a row, so if you want to come back.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah.
Yeah. Any
Cool.
questions?
Awesome. Well, good luck, guys. Hope you come here. I hope you go somewhere you're gonna end up happy. I mean, I'm happy here, so I guess that's the best I can say about it.
That's a great endorsement.
Yeah, I was happy with the result as well. So, we achieved our goals. Yeah, thanks. See ya.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.